So you wouldn't try to run a marathon with a pebble in your shoe now, would you? Yet every day, the many organizations that ask their contact centers to do just that. Bad processes, bad tools, and an IVR that just makes customers scream. I'm going to talk to you today about the top 5 things you ought to do to level up your contact center. I've spent more than 25 years running CX teams, sales and customer operations, and my specialty happens to be contact centers. Today, we're going to take a little journey, and I'm going to talk about these 5 things that not only will turn your contact center from a cost center into a place customers actually want to call, but may actually save your job. Number 1, fix your IVR. If the experience involves your customers pressing buttons like they're playing PlayStation, you've totally missed the point. Here's the thing. The goal is to ensure that your customers do not become hostages to your IVR. The simple fix here, and I've done a few videos on this matter, is to use simple language, make it easy for customers to connect with you. By doing that, you'll improve the experience and you're in the first step to profitability. Number 2, fix your frontline tools for everyone's sake. If your team has more than 12 browsers open, you're not running a contact center. You're running an escape room for your agents. Simplicity is key here. Now, I'm going to tell you one of the things that we did is we empowered our teams to actually help us design the type of tools they would use. Go back to their teams, show them what we got right, what we got wrong, and then incorporate that into the design process. Now, that's important because not only do you drive empowerment, but you actually get a tool that your team loves. Now, for that particular engagement where we involved the frontline team to spend several months getting it right, we saw nearly a 10% improvement in average handle time. That's right. You know that metric that everyone loves to talk about? Yeah, nearly 10%. So I think we're onto something here. Number 3, make every interaction count. No one ever brags about getting the fastest wrong answer. So it's critical that not only do customers get the correct information, but it resolves their issue on the first contact. See, once we move away from speed to answer and speed to resolve and all those sort of things, and we start to look at first call resolution, the ability to have the right type of conversation, the ability to not only resolve the initial concern, but to retain and grow that customer, that creates long-term value. See, I've been part of projects where we rewarded agents for having the lowest average handle time. But what we saw is that first call resolution didn't necessarily follow. Those agents who had 20, even 25% average handle times that were higher, on paper, it may look like it's costing us a little bit more, but it was one interaction that resolved that customer's concern. So not only did we see higher first call resolution, we also saw higher revenue per contact, and those customers stayed longer. So again, make the interaction count. Your contact center individual is going to speak to more customers in 30 days than most executives are going to speak to in their entire career. So make those interactions meaningful and, more importantly, profitable. Number 4, train for human interaction. See, we know that AI can evaluate the script. In some cases, they might be able to understand sentiment a little bit better, but it's humans who are the connective tissue, who really help pull the empathy out of that entire interaction. Now, I'm going to take you back a few years because this was an example that really resonated with me. We had a customer during the pandemic who lost their job due to the pandemic. Scary times, not sure how they were going to move forward. But there was a human who not only acknowledged the concern and their fear about the future, but provided that connectedness, particularly for an individual who was working remote and was somewhat isolated. So long and short of it is, not only did this human connect, but they showed them how having the internet can allow them to stay connected to other individuals, could help them even find employment. And in this case, this customer even purchased an additional mobile device so they have complete connectivity. That conversation only happens with a human who has built trust. So not only did we build trust, but we retained the business, addressed the customer's concern, and this customer continued on as a customer for years to come. I can't think of a better way of leveraging your human capital to grow your business. Number 5, close the loop. See, it is critical that when customers provide feedback, that we take action on it. Otherwise, we're simply a storage facility for customer responses. So here's what I mean by that. You often hear this call is recorded for quality purposes. But where does your feedback really go? So I can tell you about engagement where we did a couple of things that were a little bit different. So customer had a somewhat rough experience and they noted that in the voice of the customer surveys. Now, we got that feedback immediately and we had our outbound retention teams conduct outreach to the customer. We reviewed the transcripts, we understood the interaction and what the pain points were with that particular interaction. The customer was astounded. First of all, that we listened, but two, within 72 hours, they were contacted about their interaction, which surprisingly was top of mind. Now, there are different things that you can do to get to the customer a lot quicker before they go to social media, as we've all seen that. But the key area here is that personal touch and that outreach. And oh, by the way, when the supervisor contacted that individual, they were actually able to upsell simply by building that trust. And again, reminding the customers that we will take action on your feedback and your feedback does matter. So again, this is how you leverage your contact center and turn it into a profit center. All right, so you've got my top 5 tips on how to turn your contact center from a cost center into a profit center and help you level up today. But there's actually a bonus tip that I think we all need to talk about since we're all friends here. Stop telling your teams that you will replace them with AI. That is a myth. I think one of the most powerful things that you can do is talk about how AI can empower your frontline agents to have more effective and impactful conversations with customers. AI is a co-pilot, it is a teammate, and it is an enabler of a much better customer experience if used properly. And again, when you tell people you're gonna replace them with AI, you're essentially telling them that what they do today doesn't matter. So you're gonna lose a lot of customer equity and brand equity along the way while you, in some cases, stumble through or work to identify what your AI strategy is. So again, you have to remind your teams that people matter and that their jobs are important. So the biggest takeaway here is AI as an enabler. I want you to think about how AI becomes the Iron Man suit for your teams and not the Terminator that's gonna replace their job. If any of these 5 tips resonated with you today, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe. I've implemented these 5 steps at scale to grow the business, retain customers, and to take burned out frontline individuals and turn them into an all-star team. For over 25 years, this is what I've done throughout my career. So I'd love to hear from you. And more importantly, let's make that connection where you and I can work together. As founder and principal at CX and Growth Strategies, this is what we do in helping you level up from a contact center strategy perspective, growing your revenue, and more importantly, engaging your team to become best in class. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll catch up in the next episode.